Nay! Woo! Yeehaw! What's up, Elevate? We love you guys. We're here. We're hanging out. Today, we want to tell you a couple things that aren't canceled. So, you know what's gonna happen. One thing.
I just watched Drumline with Nick Cannon.
That sucks.
Super inspiring.
All right, well, one thing that's not canceled is learning a new instrument, like the drums or the guitar. What else isn't canceled, Tegan?
Muffins. Muffins are not canceled.
Very true. You know what's not canceled? Petting a sheep. Not canceled.
Not canceled. Also, painting rocks.
Ooh,
Not
that's a good
canceled.
one. What's not canceled? Ooh, I know. Going outside and yelling, "I love Jesus!" That's not canceled.
Definitely not canceled.
What's one more thing that's not
Petting
canceled?
your stuffed animals.
Aw,
Not
your little
canceled.
plushies.
Gotta hang out with them, you know. Don't want them to be lonely.
Yes, we know that you guys still have yours. At least I still have mine from my
Yeah.
childhood. Yikes. But we love you guys, and before we leave you, we want to challenge you to do something. And our challenge to you is to go outside and race snails. So the first person to send us a video of you racing snails, we will come to your house and or wherever you are, and give you a drink, free drink, just for you. But with that said, and make sure to tag us on Instagram when you post that video as well. You have anything else, Tegan?
Nope.
We're good? All right.
Good.
With that said, we're going to go into a time of worship.
Let's put our worship ears on, you know?
But we just hope that during this time, you guys can really focus on God and just, spend some time with Him today. We love you guys. Let's go into worship.
Hey guys, welcome to Elevate. We're going to hop into a time of worship. I hope wherever you at, you still know that your God is present with you. Let's sing. This is no performance. Lord, I pray it's worship. Empty words I can't afford. I'm not chasing feelings. That's not why I'm seeing. You're the reason for my song. I see with everything. If I see for you, I keep. Oh, I can't imagine why I would do strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children, generation of every nation of kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. Take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where I am, come through. Oh, 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 Father, you are good in every season, in every circumstance. So God, as we're in a time of darkness, as we're in a time of confusion, Father, of panic for some of us, of worry, God, of anxiety, God, would we know to cling tight to you, Father, as you draw near to us, would we continue to pursue you. So, Father, would you open our hearts to what you have for us today? We are listening. We love you. Amen.
Guys, welcome back to Through the Darkness Week 2. Last week we talked about what it's like being in the dark and how we all get there. But this week I want to flip the script and look at it from the point of view of somebody who's watching somebody else in darkness. I remember when I was younger, my senior year of high school, I dislocated my shoulder twice in one summer. I was doing something really dumb. I was working at a baseball field and I tried to lift up the chalking machine, like the really big one, into a golf cart. And well, it didn't really go the right way. And someone was supposed to be helping me, but I did it by myself and I dislocated my shoulder. Then a week later, I dislocated it again. And it was not good, but during that time, I couldn't really do anything. So I sat on my couch, I couldn't drive, I couldn't really go anywhere. But my friends always showed up to bring me food, to hang out with me, and to take care of me when I needed it. Even putting a shirt on or things like that was really difficult. But what I always remember about that story is not the pain that I went through. That's not what I remember at all. It's the fact that my friends were there when I needed them. In the midst of a time where things were really difficult, like I said, putting a shirt on was hard, eating, I couldn't even make a sandwich because my arm was stuck like this, and the knife just didn't work. And so the one thing I remember is just the fact that my friends were always there. But isn't it interesting how whenever someone is going through a difficult time or in darkness, the first thing we always want to do is we want to fix things, right? We always want to be fixers. When you see someone hurting, you just want to say, hey, let me stop everything. Let me take care of this for you to make it better. But I think a lot of us know that in the midst of darkness and trouble, sometimes that's the last thing that we want. I know on paper it sounds good, like, hey, if someone would just come change my circumstance or fix this, that things would be better. But usually that's not what we want up front. Just like last week we talked about, you have to take a moment to stop, pause, and feel before you can heal. Sometimes if someone tries to come in and fix things right away, we don't have time to do that. And so this week I want to think about this. Instead of being a fixer, what can we do? What can we do if we're not jumping in right away to say, hey, let me fix things for you? What if we had to stop and we had to be there to listen? What if we had to stop what we're trying to do and we had to just comfort them and let them process through? You see, I think in that moment when we allow them to work things out, just like we talked about last week, things will get a lot better, a lot faster if we let them process through things like Jesus did with Lazarus. But this week I want to jump into a story in the Bible, in the book of Ruth, and it was written about a woman named Ruth, but we're actually going to start right before Ruth comes into play, and we're going to talk about someone named Naomi. Now, Naomi was an incredible person, and what happened to her is during this time, she actually had a husband and 2 sons and her daughter-in-laws, and things were great. And then all of a sudden, her 2 sons and her husband died, and life started to look pretty dark. Life started to become pretty difficult. She was full of grief and mourning, and just like Jesus, had to process through a lot of things. Now, she was left with 2 daughter-in-laws, and one was Ruth. And through this, she had to develop some relationships and figure out some things. But first, what Naomi did was what a lot of us do. Naomi tried to push people away. You see, Naomi, she had a point where famine showed up and she had to decide, what am I going to do? So she urged her daughter-in-laws, I want you to go and remarry so you can have a better life. And me, I'm going to go back to where I'm from. I'm going to go back and try to find food there and start my life there. And so one daughter-in-law took off and did her own thing. But Ruth, knowing that she was going through grief, knowing that she was going through a difficult time, instead of running away or walking away, she stood right next to Naomi. So we're going to pick up in the book of Ruth. And here's what it says. In Ruth chapter 1, verse 16, it says, "But Ruth replied, 'Don't urge me to leave you or turn my back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God.'" Isn't that just what we want? When we're in the midst of a really dark situation, don't we just want somebody who will walk alongside us and show up and give us a hug when we need it, put their hand around our shoulder and just say, "Hey, I'm here for you." Let us cry on their shoulder. Just have somebody there to process with. And that's exactly what Ruth did for Naomi. So they begin to travel, and they begin to go back to where Naomi is from to try to find food and figure out their life. So as Naomi and Ruth get back to her town, she starts to figure out that life didn't get better just by going back. And she says this in verse 21. It says, "I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty." You see, when Naomi left her town, things were great. She ended up with a husband, with kids, with daughter-in-laws. Life was good. But as she came back, things were empty. And again, when we look at people going through tragedy and grief and difficult circumstances, oftentimes they see all the negatives. Oftentimes they see what's all wrong and they can't see any of the light. But if you jump in and you try to fix it, if you try to say, no, let me take care of this for you, oftentimes they're going to get frustrated with you because they need to process and go through things. And so you see what happens is Naomi, she continues her journey. Things weren't easy for her, but life begins to change. Life begins to look better. Ruth has a child, and through that, Naomi has a grandson. Life begins to rebuild itself. But it took Naomi processing through it. But more than that, I want us to focus on Ruth. It took Ruth not showing up and saying, "Let me fix this for you." But it took Ruth saying, "I'm not going to leave your side, and I'm going to let you go where you need to go, and I'll be right there with you." You see, while we go through all of this craziness with school, sports, families being locked inside, all this craziness with the coronavirus and everything in the world right now, and we're not really sure what's going to happen next or when things are going to change. Maybe you're not going through a difficult situation, but you know somebody who is. Maybe it's your parents with work. Maybe it's your friends not knowing what school they're going to next year or what plans are going to happen soon. But if you walk alongside them and just love them and you're there for them, they'll be able to process through things and come out the other side. So here's what I want to encourage you guys to do. It's 3 things. It's be present with them. Be present. Now, I know that's difficult because we can't be there together physically, but shoot a text. Talk on Instagram. FaceTime them. And you know what's crazy? Let's say FaceTime isn't working. There's always, you can just call them. I know that sounds crazy, but you could actually call them. If you have an iPhone, it's a little green icon. If you have an Android, I have no idea what it looks like. But you could always call friends. You could always check in with them and say, "Hey, what's going on? I'm here for you. How you doing?" Be present with them. Love them where they are is number 2. You see, people are going to grieve differently. I know for me, if you ask my wife, when I grieve, last year my grandpa passed away, and one of the more difficult moments for me, but was needed, was I was actually leaving a camp, and I had about a 3.5, 4-hour drive ahead of me, and I just had to cry during that car ride. I just had to sit there and process. Now, for other people, they want to hop on the phone if they're in that situation and call and talk to people, and I didn't. And my wife understood that. My wife was an incredible example of what it's like to not be a fixer, but just be there for somebody. Because she knew I just needed to be alone for a little bit and process through this. But love people where they're at, because everyone is going to grieve and process and go through different emotions to get to the other side. And the third thing is check in often. Don't go too long without seeing how they're doing. Don't go too long without checking in with them to say, "Hey, what's going on in your world? How you doing? Are things better? What can I do for you?" Just check in. Just be there. Even if it's something as simple as a text that says, "Hey, thinking about you." Isn't that what you want in the midst of difficult moments? Just somebody say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you." But my challenge this week is, in the midst of darkness, as you process through that, don't be a fixer. Don't be a fixer. Begin to just love people right where they're at. Be there for them, and just walk alongside them. So this week, I want you to answer this question. We're going to have some small group questions in just a minute. But who's somebody in your life that you don't need to be a fixer for, but you need to be present for? Reach out to them, check in with them, see how they're doing. We love you guys. We'll see you again.
Hey guys, we hope that was super encouraging for you. We miss you so much. We'll be here every Tuesday. Make sure to tune in.
Yes, and this would be a great opportunity for you to reach out to your small group. So we're going to put a number on the screen if you're interested in being in a group chat with your small group. We really want you guys to be able to connect with your friends and your leaders in this time where we can't physically be together. But make sure you're also just keep updated with everything that we're posting on Instagram and YouTube and all that good stuff. Here's a drink that I'm holding right now because I think TJ wants me to say that, remember the challenge to race your snails, and we'll give you a drink like this. Of the grades. It could be slugs, it could be hermit crabs, it could be anything with a shell really. So there you go. It could be even your dogs if you want. You could put a shell on your dog. I don't know. But anyways,
For your
here you
horses.
go, Christopher. We love you guys, and we hope that you have a great rest of your week. See you later.